it is our responsibility to find means of promoting it, to find means of protecting it, to find means of living with it.
And living with it.
Yes.
Just of recent in Ntoroko, the community is facing drought.
Yes.
And I think greening Uganda, you should go and visit Ntoroko right now. You should teach these people the importance of green in our communities. But right now, briefly, tell us the background of greening Uganda campaign.
You see, since 2013, even before 2013, you have been seeing the Uganda's forestry cover or the love towards the environment in Uganda have been decreasing. I can say in 1990, Uganda's forestry cover was around 24.3%. But with the increasing negative pressure, Uganda's forestry cover started to decrease rapidly up to 8.7 something. And we had to come up as communities, especially medical workers, entrepreneurs, and other different professions, that how can we passionately promote environment, because we may not have a group of people that may come basically to do the implementation if we don't come up ourselves. So in 2013, I remember we started in Uganda in Western Uganda, how to mobilize ourselves as youth. We are still young boys in high schools. Some of our colleagues were in universities. We had to start a move that was known as One Constituency, One Military Program, with an intention of starting with the Uganda North as a constituency, basically to add our efforts towards the environmental justice, as well as promoting the eco-community restoration. We could do this with community involvement, because we found out that the community themselves are the very persons that are against the environment. So we had to find out what could be the cause, and one of the causes was all about the increasing population in Uganda that was rapidly increasing. So we had to do this, how we can suit the Uganda's increasing population with the current environmental need globally. So what do I mean? We came up with various means on how communities can love environment, on how communities can love that sense of environmental justice, can develop what we call environmental enthusiasm. We had to bring means of agroforestry. People didn't know about agroforestry. And whereby we had to see that if someone is practicing agroforestry, can add efforts on...
Currently, what is the status now?
So far, we are at 12.4%. Wow. That is Uganda's forestry cover.
Yeah, my interest would lie on how you actually made these people, putting these people more interest in learning how to conserve and protect that, because most people don't know and they're very ignorant with environment.
Automatically, some people, they normally say that if we have this forest occupying more than 20 acres and the people who don't have where to live, why can't we cut it and we establish our factories, our farms?
We shall get there. What is the mission?
So here, basically,
vision and the mandate.
Basically, we aim at incorporating the Uganda surging population into the environmental structures to work with them in the way of preparing them to love and promote environmental justice. That's how we rotate as an organization. And we believe so far the impacts, the results are good, they are promising, that communities are coming up. In schools, the children under my tree, my name, drive, people, young children are growing trees. This is what we call environmental enthusiasm, that as someone is growing up, as the population is increasing, they should be knowing how to live with the environment. We are achieving this, and we continue to implement this in various sectors across the country, and even promoting that activism across Uganda, outside Uganda.
What are the aims and objectives?
The best intention of Greening Uganda campaign, under the support of Million Trees International Organization, we aim at increasing Uganda's forestry cover. That is our primary objective. And we are doing this working with the communities. Under the other one constituency, 1 million tree program. With that by 2034, in Uganda, we have at least achieved 1 million trees in every constituency.
Wow.
That is our primary objective. And how can we achieve this? We develop a second objective, that you cannot grow trees, only trees, in a soil which is not fertile. That you cannot grow trees in a land which is polluted with the Cava, with the plastics. So here we came up with the say no to plastic Cava pollution in this country. And here we are establishing plastic collection sites countrywide. Paper bags. In the way paper bags to replace the Cava use. Such that we clean the soil. We have aeration free in the soil. And as we grow our trees, we find that the soil is very well fertile. And we bring the indigenous trees that were already existing in this country. Section 3, objective number 3, as Million Tree, as Greening Uganda campaign, under the support of Million Trees International Organization, we aim at promoting aquaculture. That these people, they have been previously cutting trees looking for money. You find a younger gentleman of 17 years cutting a tree that have lived for more than 25 years, basically to earn a living within the next 3 months. So meaning that this younger man is not prepared. So here we are introducing what we call agroforestry aquaculture, that you can get sideline income. If I have given you Prunus africana, because we donate tree seedlings to public, we help them to grow. But Prunus africana is an indigenous species, but which is very, very good as far as anti-cancer cells are concerned. So here we must teach these youths that before you run to eucalyptus, you need some money out of this. But now, how can I prepare you? I've given you fruit seedlings, the mangoes. I can give you an example that in Kenya, these mangoes we see in Kampala, most of them are from Kenya. And we normally buy each mango at 2,000.
You might find when patience is not in use.
Yes.
No, like of late.
Now, it is true, because these very youth, they are cutting trees for charcoal burning across the districts. They are cutting trees for basically for brick making and others. Here we come up with the new methodologies to implement our activities and sustainably to have them developing that enthusiasm towards our efforts. When I come, we give you fruit seedlings for free. We give you seedlings for Prunus africana, for Abuja ugandensis. We tell you its purpose. Then we go an extra mile of giving you the monitoring fee, that after 2 months we are coming to monitor the progress of our trees. We give you some allowances. As you get some mangoes from other fruits, some oranges, to sell around roadsides, as you get income as well as food security around yourselves.
All right, apart from spreading the gossip in youth with the importance of the environment, and as well burning the Cava campaign. What other activities does this campaign
now, as a Greening Uganda campaign, basically we are intending, or we are already implementing means of promoting environmental justice. Here in schools, we are promoting what we call environmental education. That when you teach a younger toddler in primary 2, will be in a position to learn and know the values of environment. We sensitize the communities. You know, information is power. When people don't have information, they may not practice or implement what you expect them to do. So we first provide information that have you learned how to live with the environment. So it is our intention as Greening Uganda campaign to first achieve this, that people are now aware of the environment. So if they have attained this, let's upgrade them to another step. That is what we are doing across schools. We have some printerless documents, giving them to read. they can understand, so that by the age of 18 someone is ready to understand. Even if we have seen members of parliament, someone is on the floor of parliament but trying to describe an environment, something which is like which is not like a mandate to this country, that even if they are giving out a budget to a financial budget, yearly budget, you find the environmental department is almost ignored, meaning that people, they haven't known the value of environment. Therefore, it is our role, our intention to have this sensitization achieved, spread everywhere, that every person can know that after using this Cava, that why after drinking my water, why dry drop with this plastic bottle here, you get, which is not biodegradable, and it will spend more than 20 years in soil. Remember, where you have dropped it, there are some microorganisms living there, soil, water, you get. So we teach communities. After achieving this, we believe that in Uganda we shall reach a status as we are developing.
Yes.
As we are developing, the country is developing, we don't leave the environmental sector behind.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Tell us some of the achievements so far right now.
So far,
Uganda campaign.
since 2013, as the Greening Uganda campaign, we started with the communities in Uganda, as I've told you, that at least every family can own more than 20 or 30 fruit seedlings in their homes for food security and household income. This is achieved. We even tasked them that can you own trees like 20 with you, some 50 trees with you around yourself, personal interest, that every family member can own these trees. When you visit Uganda, the nucleus of this organization, when you go to Lukunjeri, when you come here in Busoga, our movement of transforming Busoga from being a sugarcane farm into agroforestry farm, areas in Butembe, you can get surprised that people now are almost eating mangoes. In Busoga, people didn't have food. But now we are trying to get that impact. Yes. When you go to Nyakahita, from Nyakahita up to Fort Portal, that road, we are with the UNORA trying to establish some urban forestry that we grow trees along roadsides to beautify the roads in the way of utilizing those reserves. That as we are targeting to increase Uganda's forestry cover, you have seen the central forest reserves, the forest reserves are under high pressure from communities. So how can we teach this public? People are now coming up. You can see that members, even if someone is talking about politics, at the end of the day will bring in the sense of environment. Being that people are now achieving the sense of the environmental justice. You get?
For environment and water.
Very good. As a full working hand, by the way, we are not working alone. People are now prepared. If we talk about plastic Cava pollution, we have established plastic collection sites in Kanungu, Kasese, Lukunjiri, here in Wakiso. If you go to Chitenzi, Gulu, we have our colleagues of Takataka. As in, people are now working upon saving the environment. If we buy each kilogram of plastics at 500, meaning now we are preparing communities to come up and join us. On joining us, we are sending a message to the government that according to National Environmental Act of 2019, it clarifies that the plastics, Cava, should be banned in this country. But we haven't since 2019. So we as citizens, we bring sustainable means of working or living with these pollutants, as you also help us to implement the law. That is our colleagues of NEMA. For us, we are on the ground, but again, sending a message. Next is about the government policy.
Yes.
I have been telling you that so far, the national policies on environment are not so much conducive and favorable. The methodology of implementation is not yet good.
Okay.
What do I mean? When you read through the National Forestry Policy of 2021, it gives someone authority to reach into a central forest reserve and establish something like in form of ecotourism. When you read through the National Forest and Tree Planting Act, it explains how someone can live with a forest in the way of establishing something like ecotourism. But here the public have failed to understand this. You find someone cutting a forest establishing a banana plantation.
Of course.
You get, we have seen this in Buvuma.
Yeah, and most of the forests right now, we find when trees are cut down.
Very good.
Down.
And here it is our role as volunteers, as government agents working hand in hand with them to sensitize, to deliver information that this is wrong. Let's protect the forest. Because
as you reach out to the community, as you're winding, do you also reach out to these people? I mean, these people own companies, industries.
now, take an example. When you are moving along Ginger Road, you will see more than 20 industries established, producing air particles, particulate particles, which are pollutants in air.
Polluting the environment.
Here, we again refer to the National Environment Act of 2019, that is 5, which clarifies how someone who is a polluter could live or could serve. Now, with the NEMA, we are looking forward to stopping or halting the services of these companies because they have failed to implement their guidelines.
Yes.
So if you have given that mandate and you have failed to do the implementation, what can we do for you? We just halt the services. So some industries are coming up. Take an example. Okay, some of them, I may not mention everyone, but they are trying to show up in the sense of environmental justice. You get so with these, we continue thanking the public, government agencies specifically, people of Nssf. They are doing a great role to fulfill the mandates of forestry policies and environment protection. But still, as volunteers, we come up to work with them.
What is the way forward?
The way forward, basically, as I have told you, is to review all the forestry policies, the National Environmental Acts, and ensure their total implementation. We are no longer reading documents, we need actions on ground. And we are to achieve this as volunteers on ground, but working hand in hand with the government. That is the intention or the overall of Million Tree, the international organization across East Africa, sponsoring various campaigns in every country, Greening Uganda campaign inclusive. Yes.
When I'm in the middle of our program, you mentioned some of the partners. You tried to mention them.
Well.
Take this opportunity to thank these partners.
People of NFA, you are doing a very good job as far as seedlings are concerned, as well as forestry management. We have NEMA. They have been supporting us as far as plastic banning is concerned. When you go to Rivarizi, they are great friends of ours. When you go to Unura, I have told you, we are on Nyakahita up for Porto Road, growing trees. We have them in hands. We have our main commanders, the UPDF. They are very good person as far as using the barracks. We have Uganda police with us. The barracks, we are accessing those lands to grow some trees. When you talk about the Uganda's parliament, the Committee on Natural Resources, we are trying to send our information that how can we have total implementation of the national environmental policies. Ministry of Water and Environment, they are doing a great role as far as reviewing of the National Forestry Policy of 2021 is concerned. And our people, our local-based communities are getting involved because we are aiming on working with communities. How can we live with communities as far as implementation is concerned?
Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Jibril.
Oh, Womujisha. Yes.
I enjoyed calling you doctor instead.
Thank you. Thank you very
so
much
for that great job that you're doing to our environment.
Yes.
Please keep it up.
We keep it up across East Africa. So far, we are the East African environmental ambassadors.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, we are establishing across East African region with the Million Tree International Organization. We have UN, UNEP, they are working with us.
Yes.
Society for Eco-Community Restoration. They are coming up to help those volunteers on ground to achieve what we call environmental justice.
As our program, our environment right now,
yes,
we are here to support you.
Thank you very much. The media, we thank you very much because we need publicity. We need sensitization on ground. Recently, you saw His Excellency President Museveni giving a speech of more than 2 pages on Tarehe Sita. But out of his speech, someone only tweeted or wrote about setting borders free, leaving the environmental part of his speech behind. So we are aiming on achieving community sensitization as the power.
Thank you so much. But remember to go to Ntoroko, like I said when I'm starting.
Okay.
People are facing drought over there. But thank you so much. We're glad to be with you and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
And Ugandans, let's all join together with Greening Uganda campaign to preserve, conserve, let's plant trees to protect our environment. Because if we destroy as we destroy our environment, we are destroying our lives as well. I am Sama Lukwago, but remember to stay safe and don't break any law, because even COVID is still ongoing. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Our Ugandan story isn't a new one. It's not about where we come from. It's about what can be accomplished when we're working, living, and growing together. It's about speaking the same language, the language of progress. We're Ugandans building Uganda with Ugandans, skilling Ugandans and developing competencies required in the oil and gas sector, partnering with Ugandan businesses to achieve greatness. We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
It's time to teach. Schools are open. In these days of COVID-19, teachers are not only giving knowledge, but protecting themselves and their students from the virus. As a teacher, you must ensure that students follow the set SOPs of always maintaining a distance of 2 meters from others in classrooms, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, wearing a washed and clean mask every day that covers their mouths and noses, and regularly washing their hands with soap and water. In addition to that, you must counsel students about stigma related to COVID-19 and discourage them from violence. Any violence against students from classmates, teachers or parents should be reported immediately to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Ensuring everyone's safety is key, so make sure students are out of class by the official closing time. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and Unicef. Stay safe.
Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for following and welcome you to this week's edition of UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. I'll repeat it, we always look for those people that have the information we need for the good of our lives, our families, communities, and the beautiful Pearl of Africa, Uganda. Just a few weeks ago, His Excellency the President assented to the bill that is now Act, the Nssf Amendment Bill of 2021. It came up with a number of changes, and there are lots of questions among the servers. They need to know a lot of things. What is going to happen? Who is going to get the money? Is there the money anyway? And will they get it? How are they getting it? All of that, plus the changes, other changes that came with the bill, all that is questioned among the servers and the general public. We want to know what exactly is going to happen and what the changes came with in general from the body itself. We are so glad to have the executive director of the managing director, I beg your pardon, of the National Social Security Fund, Mr. Biarugawa Richard, is here with us, and on your behalf, he will get to answer a number of questions about this particular topic. So you're most welcome to the show, and we are so glad to have you.
Thank you, Michael, for having me on the show, and I'm glad to be able to address some of your questions.
Okay. Now, what does the presidential signature and ascension to this now Act mean to the Nssf and the servers in general?
Well, so a couple of clauses, a couple of changes were made to the Nssf Act. The Act, as you know, started way back in the 80s. which has been governing the NSSF. This whole debate has been around a couple of clauses which enable the fund to do its duty of being a provident pension fund for our members. So what this assent means is that some clauses will be adjusted in the main act in order to enable us to continue. So by the President signing, this now becomes law and we've begun the implementation. There was only one clause in there which related to the onset of two clauses. One clause relating to the 20% to be paid out to members who have contributed for 10 years. And the second clause relating to the persons with disabilities who've reached the age of 40 and have also saved or contributed for 10 years and are able to access 50%. So those two clauses are the ones which were affected by a clause which delayed the implementation by 60 days from the time the President accented. Otherwise, the law now, as it stands, is already effective from the time the President assented to the bill.
Effective in what terms? Have you started disbursing money to those that qualify?
No, I said that the bill, or now the act, relating to everything else, because it was a bigger law than just the 20% that you've talked about. So that hasn't happened because that was delayed by the clause which required the implementation to be within 60 days from the time the President accented. It's now got, the counter started on the 7th or the 6th when the President accented to the bill of January. And now we've got about slightly less than 40 days before the other clause also becomes effective. So by the time that clause becomes effective, or those two clauses become effective, we will be able to then disburse the money relating to those two clauses. Otherwise, the rest of the bill, as I said, relates to other things which we can talk about.
Actually, you have mentioned something to do with the PWDs, then the 20% midterm access. Actually, it is the most famous within the whole bill. What other changes did the bill come with?
Okay, so there were, I think we need to go back to the policy that government wanted to implement. The first policy that they wanted to implement is that they noticed that not enough people were saving. So there is a population of about 23 million Ugandans who work, and only 2 million belong to the Nssf. So about a tenth belong to the Nssf. So you would like that most of your population to have a pension scheme. So one of the reasons for the bill was to expand what they call expand coverage. The second intention of the bill was to improve on the amount that is paid out. On average today, people who qualify to get the NSSF are paid around 15 million shillings. Now, between you and me, you know that 15 million shillings is not a very big sum for somebody who's been saving for quite a long time. So, and the third was around choice. The old law just had one product, if you were to call it a product. The product was you can only save for retirement, and you can only save to get product, which means that
you could only access money on retirement.
On retirement, okay. So what the bill intended to do is to resolve all those problems. So let's start off with coverage. The first issue of solving was coverage, which meant that this law now has allowed that companies which have less than 5 individuals must also contribute, must make a contribution for their employees. The second one is that people who are in the informal sector also now can approach NSSF and begin to make contributions for their retirement. So that means that effectively or theoretically, the 20 or so million people who are currently working in Uganda and do not have a pension scheme that they contribute to now can begin to contribute to the NSSF. So that would increase coverage. The second one is on adequacy, amount of money that they get into their account. The way to resolve that was to allow people not only to make the 15% contribution, which they get from their 5% and the 10% from the employer, but also to make sure that everybody who wants to top up on their account can do so. So that is allowing people to not only contribute the 15%, but to top up. That means that they can now save a little bit more than they were saving in the past. The third one is obviously the product, right? Allowing more products to be created. And you must have heard about the voluntary contributions, which means that in the space of voluntary contributions, so there are some things that we would like to, for example, introduce.
So the new law allows you as Nssf
to come up with
other ideas in terms of products. Okay.
Absolutely. So that not only do you wait for your retirement, but you can now save for things like education, you can save for things like housing, you can save for things like medical, or you can even save for things like unemployment benefit. In fact, we believe that that's one of the products which we will be able to create to allow, say, Michael, who is working for UBC today, that should you unfortunately lose your job and not find another job, then you will have saved.
God forbid.
Yes, exactly. For an unemployment benefit, so that helps you while you're looking for a new job. So that's what we believe, and that is part of what is in the law. Of course, there were other things like governance. For a long time, the board of Nssf is what they call a partnership board. You've got the employers, you've got the employees, you've got government, and an independent board that basically forms and looks after all the stakeholders who are involved. So that has now been put into the law. So those are some of the things, and there were some things that were rather administrative. You know, things like the minister who is responsible for the fund. In the past, it used to be the Minister of Finance, but now the law says that the Minister of Gender will be responsible for the administration of the fund, but the Minister of Finance will be responsible for those financial matters.
I wanted to go to that particular one.
Yeah.
How are you fitting in as an entity to be managed or supervised by two ministries? How are you going to fit in as an entity? You're just one body. Actually, you could be the only government or public agency that is going to be supervised that way.
I think the role of Nssf is very clear. There are two sides of it. There is the liability and there is the asset. Okay, so let me explain. The liability is the benefits that we receive from contributions from our members. So when they give us that money every month, it becomes a liability on our balance sheet. Okay? But when we get that money, we have to invest it. When we invest it, we then create an asset. So the way the governance structure has been divided is that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development will be in charge of the policy side on the benefit side, so that the member, the employee, basically is not shortchanged because the Ministry of Gender looks at the soft side of things. Okay, so the products, how often we give them, how often we change them, the management of the fund, and so on and so forth. So all those things are under the Ministry of Gender. The investment side, which is the hard-nosed side of the business, is under the Ministry of Finance, because their expertise is in making sure that we as a fund are investing this money properly and that we are doing it in a manner that is transparent and is not shortchanging the member. So it is very clear under the mandate which ministry is responsible for what and which ministry is responsible for what. And I believe that it's just started. I don't think there will be any challenges in terms of implementation because of those clear roles that have been created.
During the time when the bill was still before Parliament, and at the time when the President first sent it back to them, there were dissenting voices, especially from among the workers, especially their leaders, complaining about that idea of having the Ministry of Finance also coming in to supervise you as an entity. Now that it is law, what would be your message to these workers, the savers, your clients?
I think that, that the way it has been worked out, it's very fair. As I explained, the skills about investment would largely be available in the Ministry of Finance because of their background in financial matters, and the skills of the soft skills of managing the member would be available in the Ministry of Gender, looking after the affairs of the employees. So I think that in terms of division of labor, I think the right thing has been done. And I believe that at the end of the day, the Minister of Gender will be the overall supervisor, the main supervisor, with the Minister of Finance.
But the financial bit,
yes, with the Minister of
system
Finance, yes.
will now, is that what will go to the Ministry of Finance?
Absolutely.
Let's look at voluntary saving.
Yes, voluntary contribution.
Voluntary contribution. Give us a picture of what that exactly is going to be and who are the people that may subscribe to it.
The issue of voluntary contributions is something that is a work in progress. We are looking at it. Our ideas are around segmenting the market. The market in Uganda is divided into, I believe, almost 3 distinctive areas where voluntary contributions can be bought. One would be around the individuals who are self-employed, right? What people call the informal sector. The second would be employees who work for companies that have less than 5 individuals, and in the past were not mandatorily required to register under Nssf. And the third category would be you and me who works formally for an institution but would like to contribute over and above what my employer puts in for me and what I put in myself as part of the law. So if you look at the informal sector, the voluntary contribution would be that there is no limit on the amount that they make contributions to us because they are not too sure around the salaries they get. It is based on either they earn it on a daily basis, or they earn it on a weekly basis, or they even earn it on a monthly basis, depending on what they're doing and the activities they're doing. So we will be able to provide them with the flexibility to be able to make those contributions as and when